Everything from clothing to household items are getting more expensive each day. The world of fast fashion has complicated clothing production by outsourcing around the world to whoever can sew them the cheapest. And now you, the consumer, are paying the price with rising costs. American Giant is about keeping things simple and close to home. They aren't affected by tariffs because their products never leave the U.S. So when you buy from American Giant, you're taking a stand for hardworking people, local communities, and quality clothes. American Giant directly supports American manufacturers and ensures you aren't footing that tariff bill. Support American-made, tariff-free clothing with American Giant. Get 20% off your first order when you use promo code STAPLE20 at American-Giant.com. That's 20% off when you use code STAPLE20 at American-Giant.com.
In a so-called free state, officials and stakeholders concoct solutions to problems often created by other bureaucrats and with little regard for infringements on the people. These stories are born at the apex of freedom and entrepreneurship. We foolishly advocate for the taxpayer. Brian's Beat presents Freedom Fools.
Can a man get a drink of water around here? Hour 2 of Freedom Fools. One of 3 shows born at the apex of freedom, entrepreneurship, and nomadism. Back for hour number 2, the Brian's Beat quote of the day. Sometimes life hits you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. Sometimes life hits you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. That quote from Steve Jobs of Apple fame. And I said I was going to bring it up, and might as well bring it up right now. Apple. If you are familiar with Apple, you know they have the iPhone. They have the iPad. They also have a podcast platform directory. And people can put their podcast up on, I think it's called iTunes. And people can go to iTunes and download whatever podcast that has been hoisted to iTunes. I believe iTunes has the second largest directory next to the one that the Google folks have. Now, why do I bring this up? A few months ago, I don't remember the exact date, there was a guy by the name of Joshua Aaron. And he's one of these whiz kid types, and he developed an app. The app is called ICE Block, as in Immigration and Customs Enforcement Block. Now, what the app does, and you can try it out. I wouldn't go to Apple, and I'll explain why. But you can go to the Play Store and get it there. And you can also find it on select platforms like Spotify and a few of the others. So, what ICE Block does, it alerts people to where ICE is stationed. So, think about it as a sobriety checkpoint. The folks that are doing the sobriety checkpoint, they stop every motorist and they check to make sure that person is sober. And then they either stop you and make you walk the gauntlet, or they say, all right, go ahead and you drive on your merry way. ICE Block alerts people that have the app to where ICE is stationed. And it allows you to, doesn't matter who you are, but if you're driving down, let's say, Route 18, Ashley Boulevard, okay? You're going north on Ashley Boulevard, and it seems to trigger a point, the app now, that at that intersection where Acushnet Avenue and Ashley Boulevard meet over by Trucci, that's where their ICE is hanging out. So if you're a motorist or if you're walking, and it doesn't matter who you are, you could be here 100% legally as opposed to being 100% not legal here in the United States. You can decide, okay, I'm going to avoid this particular area. Well, Pam Blondie and company have come out vehemently against, saying that it makes ICE officials vulnerable. It puts them under attack. And then they'll go back, well, attacks against ICE members are up 1,000%. The app doesn't do anything of the sort. It alerts people where ICE is so you can avoid ICE. The government doesn't like that. They can't win a case in court because there's a First Amendment right to have ICE block. But what the government has done, they have been arm twisting, and they twisted the arm of Apple. And so now iTunes, which is the directory that has ICE block for people that have Apple-oriented devices, Apple has decided that they're going to take ICE block off. To the cheers of the government. But once again, if ICE is performing properly, you wouldn't have to worry about an ICE block. It's because they weren't, and we have seen many instances where ICE has overstepped their bounds. That is why this guy, Joshua Aaron, came up with the app. Now, there's a little bit more to the story. Joshua Aaron is married. He's got a wife. The wife used to work for the federal government. And what do you think happened to the wife? Do you think she got doged? I don't know that we would call it doged, but she did lose her job. Do you think ICE block, because in her position, she has to divulge ICE block. She's got an interest in ICE block. I'm talking about a monetary interest in ICE block. Well. She's out of the government gig. Probably better for her anyway. But it's amazing, what the government is trying to do to get people to comply. Joshua Aaron says he's going to keep going forward. I saw him do an interview the other day, and I'm trying to get him on either Freedom Fools or Brian's Beat to come on and talk about ICE block before it, who knows, the next thing you know, it just kind of poof, disappears. So thought I'd bring that to your attention. ICE block, there are people that are for it, there are people that are against it, but the one thing, unlike what the federal government is preaching, it does not make ICE members vulnerable. It tells folks where they are so people can avoid. Look, as a motorist, if there is some type of ICE patrol up ahead, and it might be slowing cars down so you might be 6 or 7 deep, do you want to put up with that? Or would you turn left or turn right and go a different way to get around so you don't have to go through the roadblock? I would probably opt to go away from the roadblock. I might also be interested because I'm that type of nosy person. So what are you guys really doing here? You know, that could be me also. But in general, most people would want to avoid it. And I get it. Just like you want to avoid a sobriety checkpoint, especially if you haven't been drinking. So I get it. 508-996-0500. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Hello, Brian.
Hello, Brian.
So one day, many years ago, I was driving down through Main Street in Acushnet, and I saw a speed trap on the other side of the road set up by the Acushnet police. And the guy was standing there, and he had a radar gun. And I was okay. I drove past him, drove down the road, and I noticed there was a guy coming on the other side heading towards the speed trap at a relatively, what I presume to be a high speed. And so I flashed my lights at him. So at that moment, I did not see further down the road that there was another police officer, and he observed me flashing my lights to warn the oncoming traffic that he was driving potentially at a high rate of speed into a speed trap. And he pulled me over. He came up and says, "Why did you flash your lights?" I stared at him for a second, and I said, "To warn the driver that there was a speed trap up the road." That's what I told the police officer. He stared at me for a moment and said to me, "If you had told me a lie and said that your lights flash if you hit a bump, I was going to write you up for defective equipment. But because you told me the truth," he said, "I'm going to warn you. You do that again, that's called interfering with law enforcement and their due rights to control the traffic speed." So this ice block is a modern version of flashing your lights, in my view, and warning individuals that may be breaking the law by being in the country illegally, and warning them of where the police are is the modern equivalent of flashing your lights. And you can be fined and receive a ticket for doing so.
I don't think that's going to fly. I hear what you're saying. That violates all kinds of First Amendment rights. I can't say what you were doing as a motorist doesn't fall into the realm of what the police officer was stating. But look, anybody can have that app, and that they can avoid a particular area if they so want to. That the app is perfectly legal. That's why I was saying before the government knows it has no case in court with that.
Okay, so let's say if somebody saw a DUI drunk driving road block stop by police officers, and he drove down to the bar that's down the street, went in there and said, "Hey, everybody be careful," and then someone jumped in their car and drove a different way home drunk and got into a car crash and hurt somebody. Isn't that kind of, well, it's kind of immoral, isn't it? Don't you think that you're kind of interfering with the process?
No, not at all.
No.
What should have happened is somebody should have taken the keys from the drunk.
Well, let's say I walked in and I didn't know that everybody in the bar was.
Then it's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Well,
you're allowed to make those kind of pronouncements. Now, what was different from what I'm gauging from the conversation is you were driving a vehicle. Okay, when you went into that bar, you went in talking. You weren't driving. You have a right to say what you said.
Okay, so in other words, the driving of the vehicle changes my constitutional freedoms, so I can't. Flashing my lights at a speeding driver is not covered under my First Amendment rights.
Correct.
To express my feelings.
Driving is a privilege, so we're told. Your right to you have a right to travel. You don't have a right to drive.
I have the right to travel. I don't have a right to drive. But I don't know. I believe that you are interfering with. You also are warning the activist crowd that there may be some ICE agents waiting for someone or something, and they will immediately respond with their counter protest, making everybody's life more difficult and making the ICE agents probably putting them at risk. Don't you think that's the case too?
I think the ICE agents being where they are is putting everybody at risk. You're 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Well, I feel that interfering with the law enforcement, conducting their due diligence to enforce immigration laws is not a good thing. With
Might
that,
be,
Brian, I'll
but
see,
no,
I'll
I
see
mean,
you later.
thank you. I appreciate the call. I'm going to come back. This is an app. If somebody downloads the app and they are spotting, let me try something different. So you have this app, and the app tells you that ICE agents are at 4th and Maple. So you know that they're at 4th and Maple. You could decide to go in a different direction, or you might decide to keep going toward 4th and Maple. If you are here legally or if you're here undocumentedly, you have that choice. So what is the government supposed to do? What is the court supposed to say? No, you can't have this app. No, you can't use this app. No, the owner who made the app can't develop this particular app. It doesn't work like that. Thank you for your call. 508-9. It better not work like that in the United States. Hello.
Hey, Brian. I was piggybacking. That gentleman, I was just going to say it could alert like rioters as well as, people who, try and avoid ICE. And it's proven that it has alerted because that guy who shot at that ICE building got that from the ICE Block app. So I think that's what I think that guy's going to take it to court, and it's going to go back on Apple because he has the right to do that. Just like it's First Amendment, Second Amendment. He'll take it to court. But I think that's what the big deal is. The thing is, it was alerting, protesters, rioters, confronting, like that lady in Upton that didn't put her car on park. She just, she didn't just happen to be there. She got an alert and said, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to confront these guys, and you can't park there."
Oh no, she could park there, but she didn't put it in park.
No, exactly. So I think this guy's going to win in court if he does take it to court. Obviously.
Oh, I don't think he needs to. Unless you heard something I haven't, I'm not sure that he's going. I don't think the government has a chance to win in court to stop it. They know it.
Of course.
With Apple making this move, Apple, we don't really know the arm twisting that went on in the back room. Apple is trying to win a lot of big contracts from the federal government right now. They're not going to blow that opportunity.
Yes, that's what I think. You're right. Apple is trying to win a lot of government contracts. Mm-hmm. They're taking jobs. They're bringing jobs to the U.S. supposedly. So it's a good thing, and they don't want to. They're already invested in it, but maybe the guy will go in and under another name, and instead of ICE Block. Block ICE.
Block ICE. All right, man. Thanks for the call. Right. I like that one, Block ICE. Let us continue. Hello.
Hi, Brian.
Hi.
Hey, listen, happened to my brother talking about going to the roadblocks. He saw one up the road. He made a legal turn, turned around, and went the other direction, and they came after him. And they pulled him over. And they went through the rigmarole. My brother was a policeman at the time. And he said, "Listen, it's my right to turn around. You got no right to mess with me right now." and they let him go, obviously, because he was a cop. But he could have had problems.
Yeah, how did they know? Did he announce himself as a police officer? Was he in uniform?
No, he announced himself.
Okay. Well, he certainly knows the law.
Yeah.
So I can see if he had not been a police officer and somebody tried to say that, I wonder what would have happened.
Right. I don't know. Okay.
Have you ever been stopped at a roadblock or anything like that? Stopped by the police?
Never. Nope.
Try it.
No, I'll pass.
All right, man. Thanks for the call. I do appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
508-996-0500. I was living in Santa Barbara, California, and I was an evening disc jockey at the radio station that I worked at. And after my show, I would go over to a friend of mine who was actually my competition. He and I are still very good friends. We would go over to his house. It was a Thursday night, and we would watch the Thursday night lineup on NBC, which was Cosby, Family Ties, Cheers, Night Court, and then Hill Street Blues. We pre-recorded, and we would sit there. And I had a couple of shots of Jack Daniels. So let's say I had the Jack Daniels sometime around 12:30-ish. So I'm driving home. This is about 3 or 4 in the morning now. I'm driving home, and I'm thinking, I'm hungry. And I thought I would go over to one of these restaurants and do takeout and bring it back to my place. Forgetting the fact that it was that time of morning, the restaurant wasn't open. So I made a turn, and I'm going to go back onto one of the roads that would just take me back home. Well, unfortunately, I turned the wrong way on a one-way street. Next thing you know, woo, 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 woo. And I got pulled over. And so the officer told me that I'd made a wrong turn, and I looked up and I said, oh. And I realized, because this was an area where you had a one-way going one way, and the next street over was a one-way going in the opposite direction. I just miscalculated. And I said the street name to the officer, and so he knew I knew the street that I was talking about. He goes, have you been drinking? And I said, I had a couple of shots of Jack Daniels. And the guy said, how long ago? And I said, 12:30-ish. And so, we're looking, that's a long time. So he said, please step out of the vehicle. And I stepped out. I did put it in park. I stepped out, and he goes, breathe into my hand. And I remember saying right before I was going to exhale, I said, Jack Daniels. And he goes, go ahead. And I did the exhale, and he said, okay, you're fine. Just remember your streets. Man. So I guess the long and short of all that is remember the streets. I don't drink anymore anyway, but I don't make a habit, I guess, of having a couple of shots of Jack Daniels many hours prior to driving home. But, it can be a little hair-raising. You can feel your armpits starting to dampen up when the police, pull you over, and you're thinking, I didn't have that Jack. Could it still be in your system? Could I really be a .08? And you don't really know. And I guess I was glad to find out that I wasn't. I belabor that. The problem here, and I heard a couple of callers make the point that, well, you could alert somebody else to do harm to the ICE professionals. That might be true. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. That very well could happen somewhere down the road. But I don't hear anybody saying that the ICE officers might hurt somebody that's a U.S. citizen, someone who is documented here legally. Sometimes they just get the wrong person, and then they charge that person with assault. So worst case scenario, they do have to go to court. Most of the time, those cases have been thrown out by the judge, but the person still has to go through the process that they never should have gone through. So why I can't argue whether ICE could get hurt down the road. I don't hear anybody arguing that ICE has been hurting folks. 508-996-0500. Thank you. Hello.
Good afternoon, Brian. How are you?
Brian is. How are you?
Hey, good, Brian. Brian, I'm just going to touch on the national thing like quickly, but I really want to talk local. It's when it comes to the national thing, I think, in my opinion, this is not going to be corrected. It took a while to get this way. It's going to take a while to get out. The only way that we're going to get out of this, term limits on every office from the lowest to the highest, no more than 8 years. If it's good for the president, it's good for everybody else. 8 years for everybody. The other thing is the school system. We have to put pressure on the school system to make good citizens so they know their civics. They know their country. That's the problem we have. It's education and power. The only way to take power away from these people, you're always going to have money, no matter what. You can't stop that. But what you can't stop, the longer a person's in office, the more power and the more favors they accumulate. That's the only way to knock it down. And you were talking about locally. It's like in New Bedford. New Bedford, I don't follow it as closely now, but I'm looking at the large races. There's some good new candidates in there that I've been reading about. Some I know, like acquaintances that work for businesses that do well, that are successful, that have good planning skills. There is no reason why, come that primary, that two incumbents should be eliminated immediately. Immediately, because they've been there all over. It's not personal. It's business. Over 8 years, you have to go. I'm sorry. You're out of ideas. It's too long.
Okay? I say 10 years, but, I could live with your 8.
8 years is good enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're telling me that there's going to be 10 that goes to the actual election in November, so it's 12 right now for the at-large.
Correct.
If New Bedford did itself a favor, they'll take away the friendship. It's business. Get rid of two incumbents right off the bat. All incumbents have to go on every party, on both sides. Okay? This is why we have the mess in Congress. We have people who've been there too long on both sides. We're always so infatuated about the president, or Republican, Democrat. The president can only do so much. It's the Congress is the problem. Everyone has to go. Everyone's been there longer than 8 years. Very few are there less than 8 years. And those can stay. Everyone else, more than 8 years, it should be a no-brainer. You're gone. I don't care how well you did. You're gone. It's about public service,
let me ask you. Let me ask you. Why not put a ballot question for term limits? I mean, I don't. Certainly here in the Commonwealth, I think you would have to do a constitutional amendment in order to get that nationally.
What party controls it? And that's the problem we have. See, that's the dilemma that we have because the people that are in power will never put it in, will never help put that on the ballot because they know it's going to hurt them. Because think about it. Have you seen any politician, especially in the federal level, come out with less money than what they went in with?
No. Not that I know of anyway.
No one. Now let's talk locally. I have a couple of concerns, and I know that you're a Tom. I'm starting to really pay attention now. I wish these town meetings would be on Saturday, like Freetown, or like a Saturday morning. I think there'll be much more participation on that instead of on a Tuesday. But anyway, I'm seeing this Hawthorne development, the Hawthorne Country Club, 140 or 160 houses. It's please correct me if I'm wrong. Now, I guess we're at 7% so-called. We have to be at the 10% threshold for public housing. Supposedly Dartmouth's at 7%. My question to you is, the more we grow, the more that percentage is going to go higher. So we might have 10% now. We grow more. You've got to add more public housing. And
The
now I'm
percentage
reading-
won't change, but the number of houses needed will change.
Exactly. So there'll be more houses. Okay. Now, we're doing all this building, but I'm looking at infrastructure. I'm just reading now. I just started reading now in our local free Dartmouth paper how we have a deficit because we buy 50%, over 50% of our water we buy from New Bedford. We're buying more now because we're using more. Now, we're building. We don't have the infrastructure for the water and the sewer to put. They're building on Dartmouth Street, that other huge development. I think that's 55 and over where Benny's used to be. They're building that huge one. They're going to build one on State Road there across from the Casket Pig, if I'm correct. They're going to build another huge development there. They're going to build that development in Hawthorne. Where's the infrastructure for this? And on top of that, it's going to put strain on the school system, on our infrastructure. So the quality of life that I moved to the suburbs for is going to become the city of New Bedford in about 10 years. And what's the purpose of moving to the suburbs? You know what I mean? What's wrong at having a so-called slow growth, single-family homes? It's the suburbs. This is my American dream. This is a lot of people's American dream. So you're changing into, because eventually our form of government is going to have to become a city form of government, which we have no representation. At least having town. I feel the more I read, the more I'm starting to figure this out. You have more representation as a town committee member, and you can raise your hand and vote, than you do for a councilman who sometimes in some cities, in like New Bedford, gets elected by 20%, 50% of the population. It's basically like a little club of their own, and it's just little favors on favors, so nothing really gets done. So I have concerns, Brian. I know you're a town committee member. You know this better than me. How do you feel about this? Are you happy about this growth, this crazy growth, without the infrastructure to support it?
Never mind the infrastructure. I'm not happy about the growth.
I'm not happy about the growth either. So how do we slow this down? I mean, I do, I'm not, all things change. I get it. Growth, I get it. It's a tax base. But we have a good tax base now. It's a decent tax base for the population we have. We have a good tax base. Why do we want to change our quality of life? Tell me why. Because Dartmouth, I love it here. I love it. That's why I came here. I love this town. And, I knock on wood every time that I see wood. I'm lucky because my parents sacrificed that they did for me, that I got to step up to move up to the suburbs. Now, why are we changing that?
So it's not so much that we're changing. Not that you're wrong. It's not so much that we're changing it, but Dartmouth has become so desirable that people want to be. Look what you did. Look what I did. I moved in. You moved in. Many other people have moved in from not only in the general area, but from outside of the country. You've got UMass Dartmouth, and a lot of people that graduate from UMass Dartmouth, they stay. They don't go back. I mean, UMass Dartmouth, it's not on the ocean, but it's right down the road from it. So people stay because we live in a very desirable town. Now you've got the train that comes to New Bedford and or Fall River and Freetown. So, I mean, there are so many different things that people are just coming here anyway.
It's the joke that I tell my wife. I had to pay my dues and wait for somebody to die in Dartmouth or sell their home to finally get in, because it was that hard to get in here. Now you make it the Wild West with all this development and all this houses all over the place. I'm sorry, I don't want to live in neighborhoods like Lincoln Park, with all due respect. If you like that kind of living, I had that kind of living in New Bedford. I don't want my neighbor on top of me. Okay, it's bad enough that I have concerns now. It's like so much land that you could build another home because of it's why Healy passed. So now I have concerns. I have a great neighborhood now we all got big yards, good, decent yards. What happens if another neighbor comes in and decides to put a house right over mine? I don't want that.
Well, we have zoning. We do have zoning. Only because of time, I'm going to let you go. But keep this in mind. Keep this in mind. There's nothing definitive. I know we've got town meeting coming up soon. But
when, Brian? When is it, Brian? Tuesday again? It's every Tuesday, right?
No, it's not every Tuesday. It's town meeting is twice a year, but the October one is coming up in a couple of weeks. I haven't received my warrant yet, so it's still a week or two away on a Tuesday.
Okay. If I go onto the website and see if I could try to get that day off, and just sit and listen. I'm just going to sit. I just want to be like an observer.
You can. We've got a whole balcony in the back part that people come and do just that.
I'm going to try. It's because of my work schedule. It's crazy. I'm like, and I'm seeing this. I'm really getting concerned. I'm like, I don't want this dream to end. I'm being honest with you.
Give me an idea. Where do you live?
I live in the north part of Dartmouth.
So
I live next to UMass. I'm pretty close to UMass.
So I don't call that the north part, but I hear you.
No.
To me, the north part is you're on the other side of 195. But it's still North Dartmouth. So you're still Allen Street. Allen Street is really the divide line. But if you're near UMass, near UMass, then you're probably in precinct 3. Where do you vote? Do you know?
Where do I vote? Town Hall.
You vote at Town Hall. Okay. See, is that where you are supposed to vote, or you just go to Town Hall to vote?
I'm supposed to vote. Okay. I'm like 5 minutes away from you. I don't want to give my specific location because I know on the phone.
No, the reason why I'm saying is you might be in my district because I'm also near UMass Dartmouth. And I can tell you, as far as town meeting goes, we have a lot of open seats. So, I mean, if you were to run, then you're kind of obligated to go to town meeting. But and don't worry, you'll get the day off. But you could really see how things function, and sometimes it doesn't function the way that you and I want it to work. But at least you get to see what's going on. All right.
I have to learn first. I have to learn.
That's how you learn by going. Process. Just like
Thank
walking.
You, Brian.
No problem.
Thank you, Brian.
508-996-0500. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
You wouldn't believe it. I'm sort of sick again, but nothing like before.
Well, as long as you're not eating those steak tips.
Oh, I wish I had some steak. I've been craving it. I guess my body needs iron. But I hope you got over to 99 and tried theirs because they're not marinated, like I told you.
Well, I won't be having any steak until after Thanksgiving or around Thanksgiving.
Hey, speaking of Thanksgiving, just real quick, and then I want to get to our point of conversation calling. Have you ever had pecan dip? Pecan?
No, not as a dip. I've had them as nuts, but not as a dip.
Okay, I saw this great recipe, and I said, I'm going to try that for you. And I decided I'm not going to do pie for Halloween. I got to keep with the candy situation. You know, dessert. I can't go off beat. I'll try the pies Thanksgiving and all. But all right, so I want to go back to the car thing, the lights.
Yes, the lights.
I do it. I flicker my lights.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I do. I let somebody know. But here's the thing, Brian. What I really like to do is I do that when I see somebody driving fast, and I'm like, I'm going to scare the bejeebus out of this individual, and I flicker my lights on and off real fast so that they have no choice but to know, oh, crap, the police are up there, just to make them slow down. I love doing that.
What do you think will happen after they find out there isn't any police?
They won't know because you don't know how far off the road they are, even though they're not supposed to be that far off where they're not visible because that's entrapment. But it doesn't matter. The point is, if I see somebody going 60 and a 35 on a back road, I am so going to do it. And I don't care, be it daytime or nighttime. I just like to do it. I'll do it on the expressway. If I see somebody going way too fast, 85, I'll be like, and even though you're on the other side, I know they can see your lights flashing in the night, right? So you know it's going to catch their attention. So I'm that person. I do the trick out light. If I ever got pulled over from an officer for doing that and there really was a setup situation, I would tell them the truth. I would tell them I'm doing it to make them slow down. I wasn't tattling. But so anyways. And going back to your last caller, The meetings, unfortunately, are on weekdays because these city councilors have jobs. And the weekends are for their families or events where there's ribbon cutting or this or that, tasting events, whatever's going on.
Tasting events?
Huh?
Did you say tasting events?
Yeah, like the Chowder Fest. When there's things going on and you need to be photographed. There's always a photo op. And you want to see your counselors participating.
Oh, it sounds like we're kissing babies now.
Yeah, that too. And new parks and dogs kissing and hugging cats and yeah. So the counselors, I feel like have to. Excuse me.
Uh-oh.
I feel like they have to. They have to do their meetings on the weekdays.
Look, there are towns. I think Westport is one. And I think there's another one coming back in the opposite direction that does it on Saturdays. Look,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's
I
awesome
think
for
that
them.
people, I think the caller has a good point. Most people do have the Saturdays off, and sometimes you have to make that schedule work.
He works in the hospital, I think, so his schedule is tight, and I love him. I believe his name is Paul as well.
What a great last name as well.
I really like him. I enjoy him. But, I feel like New Bedford is urban suburban. I just don't think of New Bedford as a city, like a city. I just think of it urban suburban, and that's how I feel about that.
Well, maybe because you live in the city. I do think of it as urban.
I think of it urban suburban because I can be just like right on Kings Highway now with the train, but I'm also on a dead-end road.
That doesn't make it suburban.
Well, it does.
It might make your house in a nice neighborhood, but it doesn't mean it's not in an urban. Oh, sure, you can have. There are plenty of nice. Look, what do you call the neighborhood over by Buttonwood Park?
Urban suburban.
You call it. It looks suburban because you have nice house, but it's in an urban area. You
Wait, but this is why I use both words. Urban suburban.
Yeah, okay.
I think New Bedford is urban suburban.
Urban suburban. All right. Go ahead and have some bourbon. Suburban.
No, oh, gross. Never.
All right. Thanks for the call. I do appreciate it. She's having bourbon in the suburban.
To change something, you must build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete.
This is WBSM.
Here's what's happening this week on Town Square Sunday. Kim Goddard has details on AHA Night in downtown New Bedford on October 9th. We'll see plenty of music, a great pumpkin parade, and lots of Halloween fun. Supreme Perfections Dance Studio in Fairhaven is staging a celebrity jail and bail fundraiser this month. Lori Trueheart tells us about the event and who their first jailer will be. And St. Joseph's Church on Spring Street in Fairhaven has a long list of repairs and renovations that need doing. We'll have details on a fundraiser happening on October 11th and 12th, so you can help out. I'm Jim Phillips. Join me for Town Square Sunday. Sunday morning at 6 and 11 on 1420 WBSM and 99.5 FM.
The government may be shut down. Legitimate business funding remains open. See for yourself at legitimatebusinessfunders.com. Legitimatebusinessfunders.com.
Imagine if today was the day your idea changed someone's life. Imagine if you could help someone pay for college, help your community build a new playground, or help a child make it to that dream competition. With GoFundMe, it's all possible. GoFundMe is the world's #1 fundraising platform trusted by over 190 million people. Every week, ordinary people meet their goals and do extraordinary things. Your ideas matter. GoFundMe isn't just for emergencies. Want to raise money for your kid's soccer team or raise funds for a small business, a creative project, or event? GoFundMe helps you turn ideas into reality. And help adds up. Fundraisers you start for someone else raise up to 5 times more. So think right now, who could use your help? Change rarely comes from waiting. It comes from someone deciding, today I'll start. Don't wait for someone else to bring change. Today, start your fundraiser in just minutes at GoFundMe.com. That's GoFundMe.com to start your fundraiser. GoFundMe.com. This is a commercial message brought to you by GoFundMe.
There's no better fool than the Freedom Fools. Now, back to Brian.
I said a government's a way, way, way too big. Government's a way, way, way too big. You know that government's a way, way, way too big. So tell us what you gonna do to make it small. Your move.
As far as their 500% rhetoric with assaults, it was 400 the week before. Now it's, it was 500 then. Now it's 700 tomorrow it'll be 5,000.
That was Joshua Aaron talking about the government changing the numbers about the assaults on ICE people as it deals with his Ice Block app. All right, let's get back to your calls. 508-996-0500. Thank you. Hello.
Hello, Brian. I just tuned in and I heard town meeting and I wanted to report to you. I went to my first town meeting today, and the one in Mattapoisett.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a special town meeting, and I've been peppered. I know the sponsor of it advertised on BSM. I got bombarded with text messages, unsolicited texts. Anyway, I got there first time, not knowing what to expect. I thought I was late. It was a slow start. Everybody had to sign in. And the first motion was to postpone indefinitely. And I got a big applause. And I read the room, and I waited for a while, and then there were debate on the motion. And I left during debate on the motion. I spent probably 40 minutes there. And so we'll see. I think by now maybe they'll have the vote to basically squash it. There was a one warrant town meeting, special town meeting. So it was kind of interesting.
Why was it necessary to bring it up at this particular time? Not you, the town meeting.
Sponsor. I tried to explain that to the couple of talking to a couple of guys outside. They were the cleaning contractors, and they were asking me about it. And why did the guy spend the money to do this? And I can't, other than to prove a point that he didn't like the original procedure of the initial warrant and subsequent law that got signed in by the governor. And it was, that the first warrant back in May prompted. So now there is a law on the books. So this meeting couldn't change that. It was not binding in any way other than basically a plebiscite to be presented to the legislatures like, well, we changed our mind. Not sure what we can do about it because it's a law now. But so it's very, very confusing as to why they did it. But if I read the room correctly, I think most of the people were in favor of the original warrant, which was passed by not that many people, but to increase
from 3
the number
to 5.
of selectmen from 3 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
So my guess is we'll see what the news is. I don't think it was gonna. Anyway, first of all, that wasn't going to change by the special town meeting.
Well, but why not stay? I mean, why bother to go and then leave?
Because number one, because it was an experience to go in, see what it was all about. Usually those things were even longer, from what I understand. The warrants that I care about, I'm never even close. My position's never even close to passing. So I'm in a distinct minority as it turns out. But I would have stayed if they were going to have the vote. But people wanted to get up there and pontificate.
Oh yeah, believe me, that's part of it though. You and I weren't there, but the 56 framers of the Declaration of Independence, they did the same thing for days. So Sometimes,
Well, yeah,
sometimes you got to put
that's
up with
fine. And I listened. I got up and I didn't want to get caught in a crowd. It was a full parking lot, so I listened for quite a while, and I saw more people getting up. And the moderator had to keep redirecting them to the matter at hand. So there's that. Oh, it's my chance to speak and get you know. It's like when I call up Brian's show, then he'll let you say anything you want.
Yeah, I got you. Hey, man, thanks for the call.
We were a captive audience. Okay.
Well, look, 5 is what we have in Dartmouth. 5 seems to be a comfortable number. I don't know. I believe it's 5 in Fairhaven. I think most of the communities have 5 select board members. So whatever. I did 3, 5. I don't know why the state has to get involved, but that's for another time. I appreciate your call. Hour 3 of Freedom Fools coming up in just a bit. We still haven't gotten into, and maybe we won't, because there's, thankfully, there are things going on here in the backyard. At least it's good to know that people got up to go to town meeting. Wonder how many people are going to vote in the preliminary election Tuesday in New Bedford.
Liberty, once lost, is lost forever.
This is WBSM.
I can't answer your call right now, but it is important to me.
That won't happen at Low Cost Air. When you dial 800-221-6085, a real person answers and helps you find your best airfares, foreign and domestic. Your choice. Automation.
Please leave a message with your name and number.
Or a real person. Low Cost Air, 800-221-6085. Low Cost Air, 800-221-6085.
Want to make a difference in your community but not sure how? Go to GoFundMe.com right now and start a GoFundMe. Seriously. Your next fundraiser doesn't have to start in a school parking lot or a church basement. You can start a GoFundMe today in just minutes. Fundraise for yourself, a friend or family member, or an organization. All that matters is that you care about them. GoFundMe is the trusted place to fundraise for what you care about. With no pressure to hit your fundraising goal, but tons of tools to help you reach it, you can confidently start fundraising right now. Whether it's creative, local, or critical, your cause matters. And there's a reason why GoFundMe is backed by millions and chosen by fundraisers everywhere. It works, and it matters. GoFundMe helps you make a real difference. Start your GoFundMe today at GoFundMe.com. That's GoFundMe.com. GoFundMe.com. This is a commercial message brought to you by GoFundMe.
Freedom Fools on WBSM. Here's more with Brian Thomas.
That's what I want.
Users can report sightings of ICE that they see in public. They see an ICE raid going on, or they see trucks pulling up. They can report that location, and all users within a 5-mile radius get an alert, and it comes up in the list on their device within the app. And the idea is inform, not obstruct. So let's have them avoid that situation, turn left, turn around, go home, protect themselves and their families.
And I would say, what is wrong with that? That's Joshua Aaron explaining how his ice block works. Just like driving down the street and you go by a checkpoint and you flash your high beams to the car coming in the opposite direction, to get that person to slow down, or at least to let them know, hey, the police are up the street. Now, apparently that's a no-no. I had no idea until a caller earlier this hour